to sell. Sorry. So what are reasons to sell? Obviously, these are life events. I talked to you guys a little bit about life events. So it's mortgage default, divorce, affidavits of death, probate, age of the owner, bankruptcy, and IRS tax liens. There we go. Okay, so the national average for turnover rate right now is 4%. Out of every 100 homes, 4 will sell this year, 96 won't. The higher the turnover rate equals the higher number of sellers, which equals the higher number of listing opportunities for you. The geographical area of Brevard County, based on averages, is selling at 4% right now. If you can find an area around you that is selling at 8% turnover rate, that is double the number of sellers and double the number of listing opportunities. Information is available through this specific platform that can help you find homes with turnover rates of 15% or more. But first, let's look at the math behind the data.
So there are 3 basic elements or variables to acquiring these new listings for you as a realtor. The quantity of the homes that you market to monthly, your ability to close at listing appointments and get the contracts for those listings, and the turnover rate or the sales rate of the homes that you market to monthly. So which of these variables would be easier for you to improve? The turnover rate you market to, and it's not even close. So let's show a little math and show you that targeting the right homes versus the wrong homes will make this the best year ever. Make next year the best year ever, because we're almost done with this year.
So the higher the turnover rate, the higher number of sellers, just like we discussed. So let's say, for example, you have a goal of 15 listings in the next 12 months. Question, at 4% turnover rate, how many homes do you need to market to in order to realistically acquire 15 sold listings in the next 12 months? So let's do the math, right? Again, the goal is 15 listings in the next 12 months. 1,000 homes at 4% equals 40 home sales. 750 is 30 home sales. 500 is 20 home sales. And at 370 at 4% equals 15 home sales.
And when they say home sales, they just mean homes with owners that respond to your marketing. That's really all it is. They're people who are responding to your marketing. Because
are you going to get a listing appointment on every home of these, on every one of these homes? Most likely not.
So let's say you get a listing appointment at 60% of those homes that you market to. So you get those 40 responses at 1,000 homes, you get those 40 responses to your marketing, and then you get 60% appointments from those responses. You'll get 24 appointments. At the lowest end at 370, at that 4%, you get 15 responses to your marketing, 9 appointments. Not so great. But we're going to work with those higher numbers for right now. Are you going to get a signed listing agreement on every one of these homes? Probably not. So we're going to work with that 60% sign rate again. So you have 1,000 homes, 40 people responding to your marketing, 24 appointments out of that, and 15 of those will actually be converted into listings with listing agreements. At 750, you're looking at only 11. So we're going to work with that biggest number again. So marketing to 1,000 homeowners to eventually only get 15 listings is pretty tough. A lot of work for a little bit of a return. So let's remember our variables.
Number of homes marketed to, closing percentage, turnover rate. Which of these is easiest for you to improve? Turnover rate, and it's not even close. Okay, so again, here we are, 1,000 homes at 4%. You get 60% appointments, 24 appointments. You're going to get 15 listings at the. This is at the, I'm sorry, 4%. So what happens if we can't find homes that sell at a 15% turnover rate?
If we can.
If we can't.
So
go ahead.
Okay. So at 1,000 homes at 15%, you're getting 150 responses to your marketing, 90 appointments, and eventually 57 listings. So that number just jumped up exponentially.
Take a look at the difference between 15 and 57. That's the goal right there.
Yep. So at those 2 high numbers, you're reaching out to 1,000 homes, 15 listings or 57 listings. 57 is way above our goal. So we could actually take the lowest number. So now, instead of having to spend your money on the marketing and do the effort for the marketing for 1,000 homes, now you're really narrowing it down and you're only reaching out to 370 homes. And you're getting 56 responses to that marketing. You're getting 34 appointments, and you're getting 20 listings, which is actually 5 over what our goal was. So, no, my bad.
So how do we find 15% turnover rate or higher? There's information available on properties throughout Florida that can provide you with the addresses of homeowners that have reasons to sell. The question is, where do we find this information and how do we use it?
So data targeting allows you to identify these probable sellers and contact them before they list their homes. So the targeting listings, it means that it allows you to sort large areas by city, zip code, or a drawn area, like a boundary search, down to the specific homes that statistically will sell more than other homes. So it puts you in the right place at the right time to have very successful conversations with homeowners. Let's look at those stats. This is Tracy's favorite slide.
So their life events are very specific, right? Everybody has a reason to sell. Everybody has a reason to buy. For this application, 52% mortgage default is 52% of why people would sell. 27% is FSBOs, 22% is divorce, 19% probate, and 3% farming.
Did you want to speak into
So
sales?
Basically, these are the reasons why people have to sell. These are the life events that will come up that sometimes people have no other option but to sell. This happened a lot back in the day in 2008. These were the reasons why people sold their homes. That's how we built our business initially. So what I'm saying to you is when you're reaching out to say, even though the conversation can be difficult with say, let's just pull somebody in the middle, a divorce type situation, you're helping people. And as difficult as that conversation might be initially, you have a client for life. Because I probably could say right now, out of the divorces that we have done in the past of people that had to sell, these have been long-term clients for Supreme Title. They come back and they come back and they come back. Mortgage default, as hard as it is to imagine right now that people are going to mortgage default, they are. Liens, judgments, things like that push people for reasons to sell. Obviously, reaching out to FSBOs. We have probate situation. I hate to say this. I hope this comes across well. This is God's waiting room in Florida. We have a lot of older people. Just in the northern part of the county, over 50% of the sales that go on are within a trust or a will. So probate type situations are huge. And then obviously farming is, reaching out to specific clientele. So the choice is yours. You can blindly call everyone, blindly door knock, or blindly email everyone. 96% are not selling in the next 12 months. Or you can work smarter, targeting probable sellers or owners at 15% or more, saving money and time and being more efficient. So let's take a look at the new listing opportunities and leads delivered. Now, Rose, the stars again were the only, right?
Yes.
We are the only people that have involved.
Well, this is the only program.
Right. That have involuntary leads, and it lists everything underneath there: IRS, state, utility liens, your realtors. Obviously, you know what liens happen on title all the time. Divorce filings, as we said, it's over 20% result in sales. Probate and affidavits, it breaks down the percentage right there.
That statistic about almost 23% resulting in sales, that's only within the first 12 months is that statistic. If you're looking at a longer timeline, that number goes way up.
Way up. Probate's death, that's almost 20%. They're great investor leads, great listing leads, available nationwide. Bankruptcy filings happens all the time. Largest household bill generally is the mortgage payment. Bankruptcy may delay the sale, but these filings lead to sales. Empty nesters is huge. Obviously, there are people out there that have to sell their home. Both their kids just went off to college, and now they're sitting in a 5-bedroom house and it's one person. So there's a very good chance that they might have to sell. Notice of default, notice of sales, foreclosure, out-of-state owners. And then here we also are the only ones with cash buyers and next sellers, which we'll discuss at length.
So as far as the data delivery for this website, you are able to purchase phones and emails for these lead farms that you are pulling. It's only 7 cents for an email address and 5 cents for a phone number. The offset in cost comes because Supreme Title pays to host this website. We do that to offset the cost for you, and it really makes it very, very inexpensive. I know that the first question you guys are going to ask is about the new Do Not Call registry. It does not scrub the do not call registry because it would make them more expensive to purchase, but it does mark them. So when you export any phone numbers from the website, it will mark anyone on the do not call registry with a little red dot. Mortgage and equity information, this is really valuable. That's also paid information. We'll show you there's many things you can do for free on there. Certain pieces of information are paid for. So you can pull people's a neighborhood's loan to value ratio and see who has the best loan to value ratio right now. You know, with this mortgage and equity information, we highly recommend getting your lender involved on this website as well, and you can all work together. Life events, like we've been talking about, net sheet calculators. There was a hot little minute that we were considering getting rid of Supreme Agent One because
Chris, do you use, so I don't think Amanda does, but Chris, do you use our, net sheet?
Yes, I do. I definitely use the net sheet.
Okay, this one gave it a real run for its money.
we really considered it because what Tracy always says about it, it's this net sheet is much more realtor focused. It
Okay.
has street view, it has a comparable view, it pulls the comps, it pulls the AVM. I mean, it pulls a lot of incredible information. So that consideration, we ended up staying with Supreme Agent One also because of all that marketing material it comes with.
Yeah.
We felt like we couldn't get rid of that, you know.
It's
So
tough. It was
tough. It was a hard decision for us. We were like, oh, but this does everything and more on the net sheet side.
But it doesn't do the marketing.
No,
part,
it
so
doesn't. And it doesn't have as many calculators, that's for sure.
That is for sure.
Yeah, it only does like buyer and seller on this website. So with the reports, like I was just kind of touching on, you can pull profiles with comps, and the comps are all, you know, within the parameters that you can set. And we'll look at those filters in a little bit. Property profiles with demographic data, school data, school and demographic data, single page profile for a property. Like we were talking about a buyer's estimate, but even a buyer's tax estimate, that AVM, a lead sheet, and a net sheet.
Is it me? Okay, yeah. So most title
You always-
companies, so what?
You kind of do half and then you.
Okay, most title companies deliver property data to their customers in an Excel spreadsheet or just disconnected apps, static, and those spreadsheets don't update themselves, nor do they have any of the research information. Realtors and lenders need such as sales, comparables, net sheets, maps, or access to contact information, phones, and emails. So we don't deliver data like most.
And the thing I want to touch on about this, and that word static is important, because when you export an Excel spreadsheet from any other kind of lead source where they only allow you to export things, as soon as you export that list, that's it. The list is the list, and that is all it's ever going to be. It's never going to change. But on this website, they actually encourage you to save the farm or save your list within the website as a saved farm. And what happens is every single day it will update. So as soon as any information like deeds are recorded in the clerk of courts, that will be reflected on your spreadsheet, and it will show that that home has now been sold.
And I think that, just to go back really quick.
I mean, this is the same thing. It's just kind of showing.
Yeah, it basically, like Rose said, it's just static, it's flat. If you want those leads, we can always get a dump for you as far as leads. Like if you want to mass email people, we can always get that for you. But I hope you guys see the power in that, because when it's updating and you're constantly getting stuff, like when things are getting recorded, deeds and mortgages, that's going to be constant, fresh information for you, fresh content that you can go ahead and reach out to, versus reaching out to this lead group and that's it. So it's very powerful.
Mm-hmm. So let's go check it out.
Yeah.
You still, you seeing my screen all good? You
Yeah.
see Toolbox now?
I do.
All right, awesome. So we're gonna log into the account. Awesome. The map area that it will be set on will be whatever the address is that you input when you sign up for the website. Amanda, did you happen to sign up on your own, or do
I
you?
signed you
use-
up. So
okay.
Amanda, I signed you up so we've been signing people up at their office addresses. So I
Okay,
signed
mine
you up
says Texas, I think.
to Texas. Really?
Yeah.
I
Oh, wait,
signed
I'm in
you up.
LA. I'm not really sure why.
Well, that
I might have clicked, maybe I clicked the wrong state, but I could have sworn I clicked, it says you're in Texas. So when you open it up, it shows Texas.
It shows LA, Long Beach, LA.
then you might not have put an address for her, because that's where it
Hold on,
defaults.
let me sign out and sign back in, just because it might have been me being silly, but let me try to see if I can't sign out. Let me try to log back in.
And once you put the zip code, it's fine too, but it could have been me. There she is.
I don't know.
Okay, it's there now.
Okay, I knew I put
Yep.
her in correctly. I was like.
Yeah, yeah.
I was like,
That's weird. I don't know why I was in LA for a minute.
"We're all
That's where
done."
the company is based out of, so it was, I guess, defaulting you to like their normal
So
area.
what we did was we signed you all up underneath your office addresses. It's inconsequential. It just really want the state, we really just want the Melbourne /
Yeah, that's why we did it that way, because we figured you'd be listing around that area at some point. So, all right, this is the website. This is it. There's not that much going on here. You have 4 tabs at the top. We know what a buyer estimate is. We know that. So property search is the same as area search right here. But if we clicked property search, oh, it's not the same. It's a little bit different, but it kind of gets you the same thing. So if you just do a quick property search, you can put in an address right here and search it, and it gets you quick results. You kind of get the same thing right here where you can put in an address. So we have 103 Atlantic Avenue. And what we're going to do first is show you nearby neighbors. So when you pull, and it's powered by Google, so it'll pull up the address specifically.
We happen to just use that because it's my address. So we're just pulling a random address and we just decided to use our own, just so you guys know.
Yeah, because we're familiar with the area, it helps. So now you have quick owner information, the type of property it is, residential, condominium, the year, blah, blah, blah. But if I wanted to come down to this drop down, I can hit nearby neighbors. And so this number, it's asking about a limit on the results. Do I want to set a limit? So I am going to set a limit of not 100. I want to do 200. I only want the 200 nearby neighbors, the top 200. So I'm going to press search. We've never done one of these in this office before. I hope that.
Yeah,
I know, have the internet. It's okay. All right. So this is the full amount of nearby neighbors. So you can see the total count is 3,300, but we put a limit of 200. So we're getting like the top 200 of nearby neighbors. It's still loading, so it'll show you on the map.
So content is going to take a little bit to upload, just so you guys know, content will take. So the more information you're asking, so if you were asking for 3,300, it would take about a minute or 2 to upload. So
Yeah. Don't think that you broke it just because it's taking us. Yeah.
Just chill.
Just give it a second.
Give it a second.
You know, there's I don't know if you know this comedian, Louis C.K. He's kind of off color, but there is one joke that Tracy and I repeat to each other all the time. And it's about, he was complaining about how his daughters were they were trying to use their, Dad, it's not loading. And he's like, it's gotta go to outer space. Give it a second.
So it's true. So anytime anything happens, I'm like, it's gotta go to outer space, Rose. Give it a second.
Because we all get caught up in the instantaneousness of technology. Give it a second. It's going to outer space. It's just a little funny.
We find ourselves very funny, just so you know.
Whatever. So, all right. So we have our nearby neighbors. Now, Tracy, you like to speak into what this could really be used for.
Do I? Okay,
Yeah.
great. Right. So let's say that Amanda decides she wants to sell my home. Okay. Let's say I say, Amanda, I need to sell my house, blah, 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 blah. And she goes to me, Tracy, I want to reach out to the neighbors in the area. I want to reach out to your block or surrounding areas. This will get you what you need right here versus going out and knocking on everybody's door. What's the temperature right now outside, Chris? It's hell in a handbag, right?
Definitely is hell in a handbag.
Okay. Wouldn't this be a little bit, yeah. This is going to be a lot easier. So you can literally reach out to these people via email, via text.
Or if you do want a door knock, you have a
Right.
targeted audience. You know that the people that you're going to knock on their door and sweat your patookie off is going to be worth it because they are probable sellers. So within these nearby neighbors, I can pull these probable sellers. How do I do that? I'm just going to hit this green button. Green means go, y'all. So let's go. New possible leads. So within this limited 200 results, 2 of these properties, 2 of these owners have liens, and 4 of them are cash buyers.
Gee,
What-
Rose, why is cash buyer so important?
You took the question right out of my mouth. I want you
I
to
was just
answer.
about to ask that.
So right now, there's a couple of reasons why cash buyers are huge. One, the market is kind of changing a little bit, right? We've got a cash buyer who one can probably sell with no problem. Hey, do you want to sell your home? Your cash, they bought their home for cash. They have a litany of equity, just tons and tons of equity. Also, this could be your next investment buyer. People who buy their houses with cash usually tend to be savvy, right? They have this,
And they have some extra
and they
cash.
have some extra cash. So the possibilities to obtain a seller or who might want to sell their house or possibly liquidate monies out of their house, or possibly may have the opportunity that they may have extra cash, this would be a great opportunity to grab a cash buyer like this. Because you'd be surprised, right now, in our office last month, 85% of the people who bought homes were cash buyers. So we're talking about a much more astute type of clientele. This isn't our, let's put 15% down or 10% down. These people have cash and they're coming in with cash. And I'm telling you right now, these are also the next people who are going to buy investment properties. What are they called? The 2-side rentals. What am I thinking of?
A duplex?
Duplexes, triplexes, quadplexes, or they may just want to buy the property next door to them that the person is going to sell. So do not lose focus on these cash buyers.
Yes, very important. So let's get out of here. Let's do a
So this is
big
what
search.
it does. The reason with those liens, right, Rosie, that's why we were looking at those, was that's the layer as well, correct?
So this is, like Tracy brought up, the best word that we try to use for this website is layering. So with the searches, you want to layer searches. So if you're ever wondering what your search is, you can look right here and these are the filters that you have. So we're working off of a radius of this area and we can view it right here if we want to. 1 mile around Tracy's home in the county of Brevard and the state of Florida. These are the 2 property types that we're pulling, and we limited the records to 200. And we know that we're just pulling nearby neighbors. So there's really no filters of information on here. So to be able to know that within these 200 nearby neighbors, some of them are in that position to sell, you're going to hit this new possible leads button. So now you have this list of 200. Are you going to waste time calling all 200 people? No, because not all of them are in that position to sell. You're going to send out your little mailers telling them you're having this open house this weekend, or sending out your email or whatever. But these 2 people who have a lien on their home, you are going to pick up the phone
These
and
are
call
your
them.
15%. This is your 15%.
This is
right
how
here.
you raise that turnover rate.
Right. I think we skipped over usually you show them the rate.
I'm about to.
Yeah.
This is what we do first, and then we do that. That's what we're going to next.
Mm.
So again, you want to pick up the phone and call those 2 liens. You want to pick up the phone and call those 4 cash buyers. Hey, I have a really great property, in one of the newer areas of Vieira that you might be interested in buying as a rental. It has a really low rental rate in that area. All right. So if I want to get out of anything or do really anything, always clear your search. Always,
If you
always,
get
always,
anything from
always.
This meeting today, it's clear your search.
When I tell you the trainer who trained us was so incredibly adamant about clearing search every single time. I mean, even when you're just starting, clear your search. That's what he said. I'm like, but I just logged in. How could I have the search to clear? He's like, you don't, but just in case. So we're going to work right in this tab today. We'll do statistics next time because it's just a little overwhelming. So with farming, we have 3 different ways to search. We have a radius search, which is taking that one property and making a perfect circle, like we kind of just did on the nearby neighbors, a perfect circle around that property. We have a boundary search where we can draw a specific boundary around the property. And then an area search is just manually putting in information. So if I open area search, I'm just doing, I'm putting in my information here. I can do it by zip code. I can do it by all these different fields. So you can put in subdivisions, you can put in the site street name. And what I do sometimes, like let's say Tracy was, doing an open house, like she's a realtor now, all of a sudden she's doing an open house and she just wants to let everyone on that one street know that she's doing that open house. You would come here, you click, Indy Atlantic, and then site address contains Atlantic, because she lives on Atlantic Avenue. So get count, 63 properties. And we get the count just to see how many we have. When we're ready to view the map with all of those addresses like we were looking at before, you press download/view records. All right, so now, and the map is going to update in just a second. It'll show you. There we go. So check that out. That is just Atlantic Avenue. These are the only showing properties on Atlantic Avenue. So that's how you do that really, really quick through an area search. And that's just one example of what you can do with an area search. There's a lot of things you can do with it.
Before you clear that out, what happens when you go to new possible leads there?
It'll just do the same, but you're not going to get probably too many of people who are in a position to sell because your count is low. So when you're working off of a small list like this of 63 properties, there's probably going to maybe be one. Yeah.
So what's interesting here is, this is why I wanted Rose to push it. So like my block is filled, like all beachside blocks is filled with tons of investors. My neighbor across the street owns 67 investment properties. Do you think he might be interested, being my next door neighbor, knowing that he bought his house for possible cash, that he might be interested in buying my home? There's always that chance. So that's what I'm trying to push with cash buyers. I think sometimes it's kind of challenging to see that, but that right there, that one cash buyer might be the person who might want to buy my house.
Yep.
Just to throw that out there.
So really quick, as far as just the color coding and what these numbers are all about, it's the green means that the system recognizes them as owner occupied versus blue, meaning that it's non-owner occupied. But if you look right here, the mail state is still Florida. The mail state is still Florida. So really what it means is the owner has a different mailing address than the property address.
It could be a PO box. They could live there, but most chances is that he's probably renting the property or somebody else.
Yeah, and like Tracy said, it could be a PO box, especially if it's a condominium. The people tend to kind of do PO boxes in those situations. So just be mindful of that. But usually it means that they are either out of state or just a completely different area than where we live. So most of her block looks like it's owner occupied, or that they have the same mailing address as the property address. But here, see that this one's blue. Their mail state is New York. I wanted to show you an example of that. All right, so I'm going to come back out, clear search every time. Now let's do a radius search. So a radius search, I'm going to click that, and then I'm going to come right here and I'm going to put in the address. So I am going to use Tracy's address again for this, but the next one I'm going to use my address. So there it is. And now I want to zoom in a little bit. And I'm going to drop the pin right on top of our house. It has a default, changes based on how zoomed in you are, but I'm just going to pull it out by 1 mile. Now, half of my radius almost is like in the ocean. So I feel like that's like kind of a waste of pulling information. I wanted to pull more. So I'm going to grab the pin and just pull my circle a little bit more towards center landmass so I can cover more land rather than having half of my circle in the freaking ocean. So get the count. So I set it, I'm ready. I have my 1 mile radius. Perfect. Get count. So now these are our only filters right now. We only have a radius of 1 mile around Tracy's property in the state of Florida of single family residences and condominiums. And there are 3,600 results. So we need to narrow this down. And this is where we're going into those life events. So the first one we're going to show you so everything at the top here is how you get to different tabs where you can do different filters to add down here. Everything to the left of this starred one is free. Everything here is free. So all of this assessment and tax information, all of these extended zip codes or track numbers or zoning codes, mail carrier routes, all of those things free. Custom filters, free. Empty nesters, out of state mailing address, next seller. We're going to go over that in a second. If you go over to Premier Data, there are 3 tabs for Premier Data. That mortgage info that I was talking about, where you can pull people's LTV, you can pull their interest rate, all that kind of stuff. Also, phones and emails is where this is where they are, okay, in that Premier Data. So you just have to open that up and then it'll extend. But I'm going to come back to the free stuff. I'm going to go to custom filters. Now, I just want to see this next seller list. So I'm going to press yes. This is the filter that I want to add. So now I have
What's next seller again, Rose?
So a next seller, it's all based on a bell curve. Okay. So back to statistics class, right? So we're on a bell curve. And at the very top of that bell curve is the year that the most homes were sold within the last 10 or 15 years. I know that sounds a little confusing. It's because people tend to live in their homes for an average of 10 to 15 years. So they take that average and they see within the last 10 or 15 years, what was the one year that had the most transfers of ownership? Doesn't necessarily mean a sale, but the most transfers of ownership. So that could be what? Probate. That could be like a trust. It could be
Regular sale.
just a regular sale, right? But it could be divorce, lots of other things. So it's going to take that one middle year at the top of the bell curve, minus 1 year, plus 1 year. So you're getting a 3-year range in these results. And it's easier if we look at it. So let's get the count for our filters here. So now it narrowed it down. Now instead of, I think it was like 3,600 properties, now we're only looking at 246.
We're layering it.
We're layering that search.
We're layering the search.
So let's look at those people. Let's download view records. Excuse me. So just from like the quickest of glances, I can see that like most of these homes are owner occupied, which is a good thing. That's what we want for next sellers. So these are the people who have been in the homes for a long time. Now we can look at the range and we can get that average by looking right here. So I see 3 years right here, 2012, 2013, 2014. Which one is the top of the bell curve? If we have the top, plus and minus 1. 2013, right? So 2013 is the top of that bell curve, and we're getting 1 year above that, 1 year below that. So out of these people who have been in their home for such a long time, let's check out who really needs to get out of there. That new possible leads is seriously your moneymaker right there. So these people, these next sellers, awesome for mailers, awesome for an email campaign, awesome for a targeted Facebook ad. But these people over here, that's a phone call.
That's a pickup, right, like looking at this, Rose is right, and I can tell you this because we've owned Supreme Title for 18 years now. The average seller is usually in their house somewhere between 12 and 15 years. So you could reach out to all of those people, but I'm assuming 9,000 people have already reached out to those people. Or you could reach out to these specific people, the list pendants, which we know is knocking on foreclosure, a bankruptcy, notice of default, and 1 divorce, and possibly say, you know what, I'm just going to reach out to these guys and know that my chances are much higher to obtain a new listing.
Yep. Don't ignore these people though. That's what I was saying. Like,
not.
you know, it's all about allocating your energy. Are you going to allocate all of your energy to all 246 of these people and call all 246? No, of course not. You have way better things to do. But are you going to do the low effort, you know, sending them one of your mailers, or, you know, putting them as a part of your email campaign that automatically sends out? Sure. Get them in your wheelhouse. But those other people, the ones over here, those are the ones you want to put your energy towards because they're worth putting your energy towards.
You know what's very interesting, just drive Rose crazy and just segue just a little bit, is that, you know, living in this neighborhood and after kind of playing on this a little bit more and knowing what my percentage of turnover is in my neighborhood, I'm seeing that the cards that I get, people are just farming. They're just going to throw either, I don't know what the thought is between what they're thinking. but my percentage of turnover was like very, very low for my block in my area. But I noticed that people are just slamming us. The same realtors are just hitting us with cards, which leads me to think, man, maybe they're not doing the research they said. So even if you did send out 242 cards to this list or whatever the number was, you still have a better chance because these people have lived in the house X amount of time. But then picking up the phone to hit these 5 people, you have even a better chance. Versus just randomly sending out, I want to list your home, or I want to sell your home, or I've sold, $50 million in homes. You have a much better chance with the people who live there, and then you have a much better chance with people who are in list dependence, bankruptcy, default, and divorce.
And it also has a lot to do with,
That's a question.
oh yeah.
What you got, babe?
I mean, with these, wouldn't you want to just go ahead and do a CMA and go ahead and just bring them a listing presentation on the value of their home?
However you want to do
However
it.
you want to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
If you're that type of realtor, we are all for that. I think that would be amazing. Go do that. And a lot of what we've learned is a lot of clients. So there's not a lot of Amanda McKnight's, and I know Chris Clues like inside and out. There's very few agents. We showed this to we've done
Not a bunch, but
we've
yeah,
done 2 other
trainings.
with agents that use us exclusively. Just FYI, just to shoot off of that. We're not giving this out to everybody. That is my promise to you. We're Supreme Title. We work with a lot of agents, but I am not going to smear this all over to everyone because it's not fair to you guys. You guys use us regularly. You are loyal clients. This is, going to be few and far between. The point is that some of them were like, well, I'm uncomfortable reaching out to somebody with a divorce. Why? You're helping them. If I could tell you every divorce client I talked to during short sale was like so overwhelmed with gratitude because a lot of these people don't know what to do. They don't have family here. They don't have children here. They're going through a divorce and they're looking for that lifeline. So yes, Amanda, go bring them a CMA, do that. And show them what it is. The bankruptcy. I mean, those people are in real trouble. The list pendants, you've gotten a list pendants, you're on foreclosure. So these are great people.
Just getting in front of them, period, would be, sometimes a phone call, you get so many spam phone calls nowadays. Sure. I get the phone call, but people don't answer or they don't call you back. So
yeah,
door
absolutely.
knocking definitely better.
You can put it on their door. You can put it in their mailbox.
Right. You don't even have to talk to anybody.
Right.
And you know what's so great about this? Right now, this filter is for next seller. So you know exactly what kind of position these leads are in. If we had pulled something completely different, like tax delinquencies, those people are going to need a very different message from you than these people that are the next sellers. These people that are the next sellers, they're in their homes, they're comfortable, all that, but maybe it's time for a change. Maybe. So being able to come at them with, whether it's a mailer, a listing presentation or whatever, and have a direction to talk to them in, knowing exactly what position they're in, it really gives you a leg up on the competition. Like from what Tracy was saying with all these mailers she's getting in to her place, they're just mailers. They're mailers. And what do they all talk about? The realtor. Right? No. Now you have the opportunity to talk about them, not about you.
It's also, what's also really interesting about this is I was looking at before we teach this class, I was kind of going over my loan to value right now because I've been in my house over 17 years. And I did refinance when the interest rates dropped, but it was just a rate and term. Right now, my loan to value is at like 40%. So I can sell to whatever, I have a wiggle room. So if I wanted to sell $5,000 less, because I needed to get out of my house, I could legitimately do that and walk away with a lot of cheddar. I could walk away with cash in hand. So because most of these people have lived in their homes 15 years, you have a much better chance of finding people with a great loan to value versus somebody who maybe bought their house during the COVID times, 21 to 23-ish, whatever that area is, and maybe their loan to value isn't so great.
And they have that kick-ass interest rate that they're not leaving. That's me. That's where I'm at. I bought my home at the very beginning of 2022, right? And I got that 2.99 interest rate. I'm not going anywhere. I am not going anywhere anytime soon. Not until those interest rates drop. I'm not one of these probable sellers. But Tracy, being in her home for such a long time, possibly needing a father suite, a mother-in-law suite for her father, those kinds of things, like,
just to keep you thinking, these people, there's a very good chance that these people are also empty nesters. So again, you've got somebody like me, I've lived in my house almost, like I said, almost 18 years, right? Isn't that right? Was it close to that? So I could have a child, I could have come in with a child, right? I have a child and now they're off to college. So
So let's
these
look
might
at
be an
that.
excellent person.
Let's
Yeah.
look at that for a second. So I'm not going to clear the search because I still want to use my radius and I want it to be for single family residents and condominiums. So let's edit the
Where am I
search,
located? I'm right on the beach, so it makes only sense to do that.
which by the way, when you go into property characteristics, that's where you can add or take away the property types. So if I only wanted to look at single family residences and take off condominiums, I could do that. And then there's also all of these options in the drop down. I mean, when I say all of these options, they literally
They're
have
crazy. Stuff
everything.
Casino, I don't know about that.
Yeah, cemetery. Anyone interested?
I mean,
A
the land
fraternal
value might be
organization.
there.
Right. But maybe something like this. Well, right. Laundry, I mean, livestock, marina, lumber, you have everything in here. It's pretty crazy. So, all right, what we're gonna do is we're gonna adjust our filters really quick. So I'm gonna come back to custom filters. And right now we still have the next seller filter. And remember, if you're ever wondering what filters you have on there, they have them down here. So I'm gonna exit out of this next seller filter. And I'm going to go just to empty nesters. So you might have been wondering, how could they possibly know who an empty nester would be? They make assumptions, but it is a very educated assumption that with someone who's owned the home for 30 years or more, and the home has 3 or more bedrooms, it's a likely assumption that they had a very, a big family, and that family has now left the nest. So let's turn that on. We'll say yes for empty nester. So now we have the same radius of that 1 mile around Tracy's house, empty nester for single family residents and condominiums. Let's get the count.
While that's working, I have a question about the out of state people. Like,
Mhm.
so say you buy the lead or whatever, and then it has an out of state address. Is that where you would send your postcard or mail a CMA, is to that out of state address, not to the one here, correct?
would.
Yeah, because that's the owner. I
Okay.
mean, if you send it to the property that's here, you're just reaching out to the
They're
renter.
gonna throw it out, yeah.
Yeah, and they'll throw it out. Absolutely.
I would question these 13 properties. I would honestly look at that bell curve and I would think that there was a good chance for an empty nester in there. I mean, not everybody lives in their house 30 years, but just saying.
No, I mean, again, it's all about assumptions. Like if you want to take that next seller list and this empty nester list and send out that empty nester, like, hey, are you looking to downsize, that kind of mailer or that kind of email? Do both. Why not?
This is Florida. There's more of a transient situation here anyway. People are picking up, coming and going. So it's not like the Northeast where I'm from and, other places that people stay in their homes because of how difficult it is to move. Here, people come and go. So just bringing that up briefly.
So 1993, all of these homes were sold in 1993. That is 30 years ago. It gives
Older
you,
than Rose.
yeah, just by 2 years. So you have great information that's completely free to you. You have their mailing address, you have their name.
Oh, look at these, they're all in the sanctuary.
A lot of them are in the sanctuary, yeah.
These neighborhoods are amazing.
Yep. And if these are empty nesters,
Those, I don't know if you guys, I don't know if Chris, do you sell in the sanctuary or the Rio? Those homes are enormous.
No, I haven't as of yet.
They are large. We're just using this as an example, but I think
Okay.
you both are super smart. So
Look
it's
at
good to
that.
kind of talk into this a little bit. Look at the prices. So you say to yourself, like,
Wow.
what's their loan to value on here? They've got very low.
Well, it's probably
maybe they did
probably
with
paid
the-
off.
Pardon?
it's probably paid off.
Probably
They're
paid
probably
off,
paid off.
or
right?
they have, they have more money. I mean, somebody could have gone in and, taken a large chunk out, but you never know. You know what I'm saying? You never know. But at least
Yeah.
you're saying I'm making an educated guess on that.
And you know what you could do also is you can come right in here and you press that gear and all of the options that were here in the drop down are also right here for this one property. So you can run a net sheet for that one property. You can get the comps for that one property. You can do the full profile with comps for that one property, nearby neighbors, all of that great stuff. And you can, when you do that report, so you can say other reports or profile with comps, that'll show you what their LTV is. And what their value is in their equity. All right, so that's what we had for radius search. I'm gonna clear the search. Like I do every time. And now I want to do a boundary search. All right, this is going to be the last thing we show you because we don't want to overwhelm. After this, we're just going to touch on how to put money in the wallet really quick, just so you can get things going on your own. But here we go, boundary search. So this is where I'm going to use my address. Nope, that's not it. There we go. Okay. So do we know anything about this area right here?
Did you really buy a house on Rosa and your name's Rose?
Yes. And
You
let
never
me,
even thought about
no,
that.
do you want to know the craziest thing? Literally everybody gets my name.
Precisely the three.
Everybody gets my name wrong now. Everybody calls me Rosa. I'm like, no, that's the street I live on. That's not my name.
Wow.
So yeah, that's been a whole thing. All right. So I'm doing a boundary search. So we're a radius search. Remember, we drop the pin straight on our address. That's not what we're doing. So if you don't know anything about this area, really anything east of Fisk. So this is Fisk right here. So anything east of Fisk in this part of the neighborhood is going to be, very low income housing. It's going to be renter, very much not owner occupied and that kind of thing. We want to get this area. This is like kind of the sweet spot of this part of Rockledge where it's much more residential. It's really kind of like 70% of the homes are already flipped and updated, and those other 30% are on the way, right? So this is the area that we want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start right here. I'm going to drop my first pin. I'm going to come up. I'm going to drop my second pin. If I wanted to, I could just go straight up to here and drop it, but you see, like it kind of goes on the other side of 520. So I'm actually going to drop the pin right here where the road curves, and then again where it curves here, and then again where it ends there. So now I literally followed 520 because that's what I wanted in my boundary search. So then I just come down 95. Okay, it turns again right here. So I'm going to drop one there. And then my very last one says right there, double click to close boundary. So I double click and now there's my boundary. So now instead of a radius search, because if I did a radius search, it only pulls a perfect circle, right? So my home being right here, like right about here, I would have been pulling a lot of an area that I don't necessarily want to pull. This is the area that I want to pull. So I drew my own boundary. All right. So I'm going to get the count for that boundary. And that's going to be the total properties within that boundary, about 3,600. Let's just take the tax delinquency, right? Because this is, again, free information. Why not? So we're going to do the most recent year of tax delinquency greater than or equal to 5 years. Get the count.
You put 4, but I think that's fine. I think we get it.
Oh, well, whatever. So 178 properties. Let's take a look at those. I mean, that's a lot of properties that are in tax delinquencies that are.
So they're delinquent for 4 or more years?
They've had a delinquency filed within 4 or
Okay.
more years.
Okay.
So interestingly enough, they all actually are like very concentrated into this like one part of the map. And I'm not exactly sure why. It's just something about the area, I guess. But look at that. I mean, just within that boundary, all right over here and all right over here. Weird, right? Not sure why, but here we are. So we have 178 here. These people are in a position where they're like, okay, things are getting a little dicey, like they might have to look at something, consider something in a while, right? But maybe not right now. But what if we hit the green button, right? What if we layered that? And now within 178 people who have a tax delinquency on the home filed, 8 of them have liens. So again, here we have that separation of like this whole list of 178, they get mailers, they get email campaign, they get whatever you feel is appropriate. That's a little bit lower energy output for you. But these 8 people with liens and tax delinquency, I mean, I'm picking up the phone, I'm calling them because they are like, oh my gosh, we need to sell right now. Or like,
There's a much higher chance.
it's gonna go
there's-
down,
Yeah.
you know? All right, so this is a great boundary search I like to use as an example, just because of the type of area, understanding that maybe you don't always want the full radius, you want it to cut off at a certain street. So I'm gonna edit the search. So again, we're still using the same boundary. And right now we still have the same filters. So be careful about that. You know, like if you come over to custom filters again, let's say, and you want to do next seller, right now we have both of these filters on there. So next seller, and they've had a tax delinquency filed against them. So if we get the count on that, it's only going to pull 4.
But those are 4, just FYI,
Yeah.
those are 4 amazing people.
Yeah.
You know, if you have 4 sellers, I mean, that's huge.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't do multiple because it's collective. Is that what you're saying?
It's and, not or.
Not or, okay,
Mhm.
good to know.
Yeah, exactly. I've made that mistake before too. Like what was the one that we did? It was like, I think I tried to pull
And
out.
It was 0, I remember.
Yeah, it was 0. Like it literally came up with nothing because it was
It's
just
too
too
fine-tuned,
specific.
yeah.
Yeah, it was too specific of a filter. So if I wanted to, you know, you could do these 4, but I'm just going to take off my other one, whatever. And then I'll have more people in that area. Like I had 178 for tax delinquencies. For next seller, 124. All right. So going into the Premier data side,
This is the part, if you can just stick around for 1 second, Chris, I want to just show you this before you have to run.
Yeah, I only want to just show you how to get the phones and emails really quick. So you come over to the phones and emails tab. What you're doing first, though, you're putting all your filters on there. So right now we only have the boundary. We don't have any filters. So I'm going to come back to assessments and taxes. I'm going to put back my greater than or equal to 4 years. Get count. I think it keeps doing that because I know I put 4. Like I typed 4. That's weird.
Same, I think it looks like it's the same number.
Okay, there you go. All right, 178 properties. So now that I have my filter set, I'm going to come over to phones and emails. And there's my filtered results right there. And it shows me again what's going on, what I have my filter set at. And let's say I didn't want to do 178. You can do a limit on that record of 100 or 50, and it'll pull the top of those results. You can do just phones, just emails, or both phones and emails. Something just to note that I think is important. We're going to get the count. So it's going to show you what the total is before you have to pay for it.
I mean, hello. You know, I thought when he said that we were taking part of this as a host, that it would offset it. That is amazing.
It offsets it by a lot.
$21 for 178 viable, much stronger leads. I mean, I think that's pretty kick butt, you know.
So Chris, before you go, just notice your card will be refunded the difference for addresses where a phone or email is not found.
And I did one of these for a client of ours to help. I mean, it wasn't instantaneous, but instantaneous, but it was within a couple of hours.
Wow.
Great. Because nobody wants their
Yeah.
money sitting out there.
Mm-hmm.
No, not at all.
Yeah,
Chris,
the
I know you
refund.
gotta go. I will make sure that you get this video as well, and you can always call us for questions.
Thank you. And you're going to do a second part?
We are,
Yeah.
and that one's great. So that one we definitely.
That one we're gonna cover. I'll show you like just the
Statistics.
statistics tab we're gonna cover.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate
Absolutely.
it.
I mean, Chris.
I'm excited.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, yay.
Yeah. So stick around with us for a second, Amanda. We can answer some questions for you. All right. You know, it's funny is that it's weird about certain areas that have specific situations that go on. Like I went into places like Vieira and it showed a much higher divorce rate. You're not going to see as many liens because most people have only lived there for a short period of time. You tend to have, most people have more of a professional job, maybe where they're making a little bit more money, but
More consistent.
consistent.
Yeah.
So there are definitely certain areas that you'll find very specific things. So that might help if you're like looking for, that you want to work with divorced people, or you want to work with people who have illicit pendants. You kind of have a good idea where maybe those people might be hanging out.
Yeah, like pulling the probable sellers from Palm Bay will be very different than pulling them from Vieira, which will be very different than pulling them even from a close area to Vieira, like my area. Right here. I mean, that's really close to Vieira.
Do you have
so-
an area you want to check?
Yeah, do you have an address you want to look up?
I don't have an address. I normally just would do the areas.
Okay.
Cause
Is there an
you
area
know,
you would want to farm?
Compass is pretty heavy on the postcards and stuff, you know, hey, you sold it, you send a postcard just to show. Cause it's kind of like a mind. I guess they did a study and it shows that like if you consistently farm one area with postcards and you go in, you're like, who's the top agent? They shouldn't say all about the agent every single time. It should be more about their statistics and how much they sell, right? Not, oh, look at me, I'm a top producer type thing.
You know, what's funny is I get these cards all the time. I am not a realtor. I have no idea. I don't even try to
Yeah.
figure out your job. I'm not negotiating your contract. Your escrow is up to you. We don't get into that. But I think what we met was, like, sometimes we'll get stuff and it'll be like just sold at the bottom and the whole other information. And I get it's branding. We all get it's branding.
Right.
But sometimes it loses focus. I'm like, are they selling this house or they just want to let people know who they are? And I get that they want that too, but I think the focus should be on the sale for the client. So that's.
So are you, your suggestion is to do the search, right? And then basically mail, email those people, right? And then
It's just our suggestion, like just to get your brain juices flowing. That's all.
Yeah.
You do with this what you want. It's your business. We're just
Right.
It's the
giving
leads, the hot
Yeah.
leads we want you to pick up. Send out an email, do a CM, you know, a CMA immediately. Yes, those people you want to go out there and do that,
but any direction we're giving you as far as what to do with these leads,
Is up to
it's
you.
all a suggestion. We're not telling you to do anything with anybody.
right, but I'll take your suggestion.
Yeah,
You kind of know what's been working, so that's why I'm like, I would rather go with what you guys know is working, you know?
It's more about like, what are you going to allocate your energy and time to? What are you going to put in that sweat equity for the best return? Are you
Right.
going to, those 200 next sellers aren't all worth the sweat equity that, like not the equal amount. Like if you do those new possible leads, that green means go, right? That button that we were pressing.
Right, and that's what I'm thinking, like, do you just do the green means go and you buy those and you do multiple areas rather than overwhelm your.
Twofer. I think that this is a twofer. And I when
Yeah.
we're learning the app, the trainer he really focuses on those next possible, doors. But I do think you're right. There is value in sort of saying, I have this house for sale. I'm going to farm the neighborhood. Here is the information. I'm going to hit these people because maybe they'll drive back and forth and they'll see my for sale sign. And when the time comes, when are they going to sell? But if there are hot doors, I would jump on those immediately. So
Right.
also because if you're doing a broker's open or an open house that day, who do you want to come to that? Of course, you know how it is, Amanda. We had it at our broker's open. Neighbors came over. Why? Because they want to see what their house might sell
Nosy
for.
neighbors.
Nosy neighbors.
Yeah, yeah,
So check this out. This is exactly what I feel like you're talking about. We're not putting any filters. I'm not doing anything with this. I'm literally just setting the area. And all I did
Right.
was go into farming and I did an area search. So this isn't
Right.
with anything with the map. I'm literally putting in the information. So I put in
Like a zip
Melbourne.
code. Yeah,
Go ahead, what?
the zip code only is what you're saying.
Exactly, right. So I'm just
Perfect.
doing the city and the zip code. So
Yeah.
this is my area. And these are the total amount of properties in that area, not probable sellers. I don't know what's going on with these 3,500 properties. It's just that these 3,500 properties exist in 32904.
Right.
So let's look at those
It's gonna be in-
records. Yeah, it's going to take a second.
That's what I was thinking that I would do. You put
Yeah.
a zip code that you want to work in, and then you start hitting the hot leads, right? You
Yes.
take, and the goal for me would be you do 10 CMAs a day and you drop them off at houses. I mean,
You're
after a
so
month.
smart. You're so smart, man. It is very,
And you're a hard
very-
worker.
Like
You are a very
Chris.
hard worker.
Yeah, I mean, you knock on a door, and if not, you rubber band it to the front door with a red thing, because everybody's like, oh no, a red notice, I'm gonna get, I have a fine or something.
Alright, I never thought
You're a
about that.
smart
Why are we
cookie.
not working with me on phone?
I don't know, ask
Well,
Amanda.
so fun.
Don't be letting out all my secrets. No, I'm just kidding. I
No,
mean,
no.
truly, it is about who puts in the work, to be honest
is,
with you.
yeah.
And 10 a day for 30 days, that's 300 people you're reaching out to. I mean, what is it? What?
Thing.
$300 maybe, and then some paper?
I don't even think it's gonna even be that much. I don't think it's
No,
gonna be
no.
close
And
to-
remember our statistics, it was
Probably
based off of
30.
370 people. If you have that 15% turnover rate, which really is provided to you by this button, you're gonna get 20
Easy.
listings.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, well, after all the math and
Yeah.
everything, it was from 370, you get 20 listings, like at the end of it. So, all right, out of 3,500 people, again, it's just properties that exist in this
Where's
zip code.
32904?
That's West Melbourne.
West Melbourne.
See, Ellis,
Yeah.
Wickham,
I was just being
It's okay.
possible leads.
Ellis, Wickham, New Haven, 95. That's kind of, and there's like a couple of them outside of that little box, but for the most part, we're looking in that little area. So I'm going to hit new possible leads. And now out of these 3,500 people, that's what you want to buy.
Wow.
Check that out.
And that's who you market to.
Yeah.
And
That's
I'm
who you
gonna
market
tell
to.
you what, a
But
lot
with
of these
different
people-
stuff.
Right, a lot of these
Yeah.
people, I think you've got a lot of next sellers in here too.
Right.
You know,
Because
there's
you're
a lot of
not-
people- Do you know how many? There is nothing for sale in West Melbourne. There is nothing for sale, like
Yeah.
ever. So this could be your this could be your
Yeah.
hot stuff.
But
right there.
remember, keep in mind, like you're not going to reach out to the people who have liens the same way you're going to reach out to these cash
Right.
buyers. Cause that's like cash
Right.
buyers
The
is a
cash
positive.
buyers you would have to do differently. But as far as the liens, the Liz pendants, the divorce, the bankruptcy, if you're just being like, hey, I was just in the neighborhood, I ran this CMA, I thought it would be cool for you to, look at it. Let me know if you were thinking about selling. Don't tell them, they're
You
getting a
can't,
divorce.
right?
No, you
I mean,
can't.
you just treat them like people, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And
But
I
the
think
cash
a lot
buyers
of-
are different.
A lot of people do not have Chris is the same way. It's good that you both were on here. You're both not
Astute.
astute, attractive, smart. It's going to work in your favor as a door knocker for type. There's certain people that should door knock, and then there's certain people that shouldn't door knock. If you are a door knocker, this probably wouldn't be the worst ones to go to.
I could never
Right.
be a door knocker. It's just like dripping sweat.
Yeah.
Can I come into the AC for a minute?
Hey, that's why I said only 10 a day.
Right. At 7:00 in the morning.
Do you have any water?
Right.
You're gonna think I'm a refugee, not a realtor.
And I mean, how many are there really, like, without the cash buyers? Like, if we don't talk about cash buyers, even though, yes, they're important, I mean, that's 20, you could get that done in 2 days.
Exactly.
Or maybe, okay, so a week you could reach
Yeah.
all the rest of those people, and you could even bring them like a little gift.
I
you
think
know,
these are the
something
type
small.
of people you have to just keep kind of like, just like any deal. Yes, you want him to sign with you that day, but just like anybody, you're gonna have to go back and go back and go back.
Follow up, follow up,
The
follow up.
CMA on here is amazing. We could choose one and
Yeah, let's do one.
Let's-
Here, I just have Tracy's address in here already, so I'm just gonna do it.
check this out.
There it is. Profile with comps.
We should probably get her on Supreme Agent one. Are you on Supreme Agent one with us? You're not, right?
I don't know. I don't think so.
So-
What app are you using?
I'm pretty sure I had you download it when we were in person though. But and then we talked about doing a training. And we never did a training. But I feel like I got it for you on your phone.
I don't have that on my phone.
Really? I could have sworn that was
Yeah, I don't have.
Might have been
because
so-
keep
I know
all
it was
my
at
real
that
estate
house.
apps in the same location, so I can utilize them.
Yeah. So, all right, it gives like a little quick overview of who Tracy is, and then it's going to ask for the parameters we want in the comps. So it defaults to a 1 mile distance, plus or minus 1 bath, plus or minus 1 bed. You can set it to a certain year of being built, like plus or minus 5 years or anything like that.
Sure.
Plus or minus 20% of the square footage and sold in the last 12 months. So I'm going to keep it that way, and I'm going to generate profile. So it does create quite a few pages. So you just got to give it a second.
Here's the other groovy thing, and I just want to touch on this before you click that, Rose.
Yeah,
If you say to me, Tracy, I'm swamped, I need you to farm a specific area for me and get me
next sellers.
next sellers for this area. You're at whatever, and I can always just drop that list into your
Saved farms.
into your saved farms.
So we can
Okay.
run them for you.
Yeah, if like
and just,
something comes
yeah.
up for you, I can always, Rosie or I could always do that for you. So don't even think twice,
Yeah.
all right, if you need help.
All right, so I just clicked to view the report. That's all I did. No, you cannot change the photo on the cover, unfortunately. But it's still a nice house. Cute.
But I think when you go with paper in hand or this type of thing in hand, it shows that you really took the time, right? It shows that you really took the time.
So I'm gonna come down and it really gives like every piece of information you could ever need on the home. Gives Tracy's.
Yeah, I'm just not like a salesy person. I would rather be like, hey, I just had some time and I looked up the value of your house. Like, here's just free information. And if you have questions, call me. You know what I mean? Rather than picking up the phone and be like, hey, were you thinking about selling? Do you want me
Right.
to, you know what I mean?
It's
I'm like an
important
email.
and-
I don't like to call somebody because you're really kind of invading their privacy. If you just kind of drop it off at their house, be like, hey, it's free. There's no strings attached. Just wanted to give you some free information.
Information on about that. Remember we were talking about that with him about, I can't remember what that was about. Something's very, very specific.
With what?
It'll come to me in a second. Let me
Okay.
think about that. So.
So
here's the-
changes in title, changes in mortgages. I mean,
For all the boys I've loved before, there's my ex-husband
Yeah.
right there.
she lost a few interest rate points and 200 pounds.
Bye. No, I'm just kidding.
So it shows the original purchase and it's showing the subdivision information. And now here we get to the comps. So
Right.
did it only pull one comp?
There
No.
might only be one, yeah.
Oh, because it was only 1 mile radius. Usually we do 2.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So yeah, 2 miles, like Tracy
But
was
an
saying,
appraiser's only gonna go half a mile out, so
Really? I always thought they went out. I thought they always went a mile out now. Is it only a half a mile?
I thought it was only half a mile,
Or
yeah. 'Cause-
probably. I haven't taught work
No, it
with
was-
appraiser for a while. I'm sure you're right.
But I mean, if there is none, they might have to go out further.
Yeah, like nothing that's sold in the last 6 months, right? Is that what?
Right.
so it is 12 months. So that is a short timeline and it's 1 mile distance. So if we
Yeah, and they
extended
do 6
this,
months.
yeah, if we extended it to 2 miles and then did, let's say 24 months.
Which
Sure.
is very high. which is
Okay, so
very
let's do it in the
high.
middle. Let's do 18. Update. And I still have this one over here, and I can keep looking at it and so this is a nearby neighbors map. And you can literally right from the PDF just view all the records of those nearby neighbors. Next sellers with the map. You can view all those records. And then that's what you got. But usually it's many more pages when you have all these other comps. So
Sure.
let's generate that profile, the one with more information.
Gosh, what are you doing?
This changed a lot for us. Once we started doing the statistics and seeing things, we were like, wow, people are just randomly sending out flyers and they're not even, how much does it cost for you guys to do flyers or mailers?
So Compass has like a deal where, anytime I close something, whether it be buyer or seller, I'll send out 100. It's like $80, right? Hey, I just sold this. That's great.
Who gives you that
But
deal?
I only, go ahead.
Compass, you said gives you that deal?
Yeah, it's with, actually, hold on. Let me go to another tab.
You know what's
Express
interesting?
Docs.
There we go.
It's who?
Express Docs.
Okay, we go through well, we don't go through anything. They offer us, what is it, Rosie? What's the system that they use? The email, the mailers, it was an acronym. It was like 4 letters.
You mean the
Yeah.
program? So when you export, Avery.
Avery, that was it. It was
Avery. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, you can print the labels. So it's getting your mailers, getting the labels ready for your mailers like right away.
Right. So like Compass, if I exported basically the name and addresses and the address, the email, if that's how they do it, I just put it in a CSV file and import it into my CMA. And then from there, I can go and do an email campaign or tons of other things. And then I can create, my own email campaign to go to Liz Pendant's clients, right? Like, hey, are you behind? Or, and really target it that way. Everything is editable, but it does have like a nice layout to where it says, hey, call this lead in 7 days after the first email, but you can always edit it. Like if I don't want to call somebody, I'll, text them or send them a video message.
You know what's cool about this also, and this is why I liked you from day one, Amanda, is that you're a very, very straight shooter, and why we like to work with straight shooters is a lot of people were very honest with us about the platform. They're like, we love this, but we think that this part might be done better with this program, or this part might be done with this program. This is just a tool. This is just a tool
Right.
in the arsenal. Maybe you'll find something super appealing about this that maybe the other one doesn't do, or this one doesn't do, but you can use
Right.
it for this. So if you have all of these, you're in a much better position to be successful with selling.
Right.
Right. So,
Now, how long have you rolled this out for?
only a couple of weeks.
Okay.
Really, when I talked to you right before vacation, I think we had done like 2 training programs.
Okay.
And we really wanted a lot of those initial people were people who have been closing with us 10 to 15 years that would be like, this sucks, or this is not good. And we just knew we would get a straight answer immediately. And that's what we were hoping for. It's just people.
Yeah.